Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. No particular agenda today. I'd like to talk about whatever you want to talk about because that just seems to serve you and maybe me and us better. Hope you're all well. Hope you're um, enjoying the videos and the community. I Before I would mention to you, you're all good people in your own way, smart, interesting, intriguing, and very separate from the normal. We talked in the formation of the community, we talked about the 1%. Frankly, to be honest with you, it's probably lower than that, sadly, but be that as it may, let's just say 1%. So out of every 100 people, there's about 99 are just not, they're on a different channel, and you're one of the 1%, and we want to expand the conversation and find more 1%ers like you. And one of the best ways of doing that, of course, is that, because as a rule, good eagles don't fly with turkeys, generally. Good people know good people. So, if you know other people who you think might benefit from the conversation, from the videos, from any part of the community, certainly feel free. I encourage you to reach out to them, share it with them, and discuss it with them, and try to bring them in. The community is a good, in my opinion, a good one, a very low cost, and so I would encourage you and be grateful to you if you would share that word. Be that as it may, let's just go around the. Does anyone want to start? I can call upon people, but does anyone want to go first with a question, a comment, maybe some area of life, personal or professional, in which they feel stuck? A good time to, people maybe sometimes will ask me, when's a good time to seek some counsel? And of course, I don't know that except to say, well, when you're stuck. So, anyone want to go first? I know that maybe, who wants to maybe start us off?
Michael, this is Shane.
Shane, you want to start?
Sure.
Ladies first. Okay, fantastic. Hi, Shane.
Comment on arrogance versus confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell me more.
Arrogance versus confidence.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic, right? We all know that confidence is a very good thing, is it not? And very important thing, and very vital and necessary thing. On the other hand, we also know that arrogance is a problem, isn't it? So, Shane, talk more about that, or your questions or comments regarding that. It's a very good topic, I think.
Personally, I'm really like everybody. I would think, I don't know, but I'm very turned off with arrogance. But how does one come off confident without being arrogant? How does one show that you are capable, smart, confident, but not arrogant?
Right. Well, does anybody, that's a great topic, by the way. I think that could be a book. So that's a great topic, Shane. Does anybody here have any comments about that? Anyone want to share their thoughts or perspectives around that topic of arrogance versus confidence? Michael,
Hi, this is Karen, and I believe...
Who is this?
This is Karen, and I work with Shane now. So this is the first call that I've been on, so I'm happy to be here. I'm so excited. But arrogance versus confidence. my opinion, it's my humble opinion, that it depends on the source.
Depends on the source, okay.
I'm in the same business that we're in, that's male, and they can make a statement or a state of fact and seem confident. If a woman made the same statement, the fact, it may appear to be arrogant.
That's true.
And it's a masculine, feminine thing sometimes.
Yes. So, Karen, I can hear, that's a really good point, isn't it? And I've heard women say this, you know. And so how do you, Karen, as a woman, deal with that? I mean, at the surface, that's very unfair, isn't it, right?
Breaking up a bit, but
what'd you say?
To me, how would I deal with that?
How do you deal with that? Because at the surface, that would seem quite unfair, right? If a man says A, B, and C, he's perceived as confident. If a woman says A, B, and C, she's perceived as arrogant. That's the statement you're making. How do you deal with that in your life?
Well, I try to remain humble. And sometimes, in certain situations, I feel like I have to dumb it down a little bit so that I won't appear arrogant. I want to be confident, but that can be misunderstood.
Anyone else have any thoughts? It's a very good comment, Karen. And listen, it's very healthy, to be honest with you. It's very healthy for men to hear women speak in a non-antagonistic way. Now, of course, if you were scolding me or others right now with the same message, but you were waving your finger and scolding, obviously men would shut down, right? If, on the other hand, you did what you just did, which is say, look, this is how I feel, this is what I've experienced in life, it's very healthy for men to hear women, but it is also very healthy for women to hear men. And too much of the conversation between men and women, far too much, just to be honest with you, Karen, this is my feeling, but you've called me, you've called this morning to hear some of my feelings. To be really direct with you, and I know you can be direct with me as well, far, far, far too much of the dialogue between men and women is accusatory. And boy, isn't that a great way to get people to shut down. Isn't that a great way? But your tone, as you just spoke, was so non-accusatory, and I think it's very helpful, because men live in their body and women live in theirs, and there we are. And it's very helpful, so thank you for that. Anyone else have any feelings about what either Shane or Karen said? I'm going to share a couple of thoughts, but I want to give others an opportunity to speak. Ryan or Dawn or Rachel or anyone else care to share? John, even, if you choose.
I might as well try it.
Let's give Ryan a shot. Brother Ryan.
I'll be real simple. I think the difference between arrogance and confidence is the listening capabilities of either of those two. I think confident people tend to be more open to ideas or more willing to have themselves be challenged, yet be comfortable in their own skin, whereas an arrogant person probably will not want to listen to anyone else, including their own contradictions about a belief. So I don't know. I tend to see that.
That's a good point. They don't want to listen to anyone else, including themselves, when they contradict themselves. Interesting. Anyone else have anything that they want to share?
This is Rachel.
Rachel.
I think it's
what do you think?
If you know yourself and you know you're not arrogant, but you just always try to be humble enough while still showing self-confidence. I think you will act in a certain way that most people will perceive it in a positive way, but there will always be a few who just won't. I don't think you can please everyone. So I don't think you should change yourself too much, especially if it comes from from goodness, you mean well, then you usually can't change yourself for the whole world. Yeah. Well, it's not the whole world, but the few that misperceive.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Well, let me just caution people, you, Rachel, others. What is, what is in our hearts, right? Our own motives, our own hearts. I found, in my own experience, is not fully and always knowable because they're usually conflicted, complicated, myriad of things at play. So, on this whole topic, I just don't know a better rule. Hello?
Michael has changed.
Hello?
You're having technical problems hearing.
Oh, technical. Yeah. I don't know a better rule than the golden rule. Treat people as you would want to be treated. Talk to them in the way that you would want to be spoken to. And also, hello? Sounds like a siren going off. Is that okay? The other thing is, hello? Hello? I still hear you. Okay. The other thought is about confident and arrogant is, arrogant people, here's a couple of good, maybe, litmus tests to think about. And they're not particularly brilliant observations. Arrogant people never apologize. They never admit wrong. They never criticize themselves, ever. So I don't care how humble a person claims they are, unless they're willing, with some degree of frequency, to say, I could be wrong, I was wrong, I thought at the time with the information I had I was wrong, but I made a mistake, I apologize, that type of thing. I think they're disqualified in my mind. And to be honest with you, I have a rule about public people or even private people. They do not really get my respect, my deep respect. Now they maybe have little elements of respect, but not my deep respect, unless they're willing to criticize themselves or their group. And what I mean by that is, if I hear a group of men criticizing women, I don't have much respect for it. I mean, it may be, what they may be saying might be true, might be funny, it might be both funny and true, right? But I don't really respect it. On the other hand, if a group of men are sitting around talking about criticizing men, then I respect the group, because that takes some courage. The same with women. If women are sitting around criticizing men, right, or a woman individually or collectively are sitting around criticizing men, maybe what they're saying is true, maybe what they're saying is funny, maybe what they're saying is both true and funny, but I don't really respect them. I respect rather deeply when a man is willing to criticize a man, a woman is willing to criticize a woman. You have to be able in life to criticize yourself or your group. And to point out where your failings are and your group. And so when liberals yell about conservatives, or conservatives yell about, Trump and the Papa, I don't think it's as constructive or worthy of respect. All people who disagree with you are not idiots, racists, bigots, pigs, slobs, thieves. Now, some may be, but not all. And all people who agree with you are not angels, saints, godlike, some may be. So that's just something to think about and consider. It's a very good topic, Shane. Thank you. All right, anyone? Ryan, I think you might have been also trying to talk a little bit, but what was your...
Oh, no, I had just some questions for you.
Okay, sure. This is your time. We only have about 10 more minutes, so go for it, bro. You're such a smart and interesting and seeking guy. I want the others to have your point of view.
Thank you. I've got two questions for you, Michael.
Yes, sir.
First one is this.
Well, let's ask them for the group too.
Okay, and I guess for everyone else as well. If you are trying to accomplish something, you're working on your goal, you're working on your dream, is resistance an indication that you are doing something innovative, or is non-resistance or a better flow a clear indication that you're on the right path? That's the first question.
That's a great question. Boy, I'll tell you, you guys should have your own talk shows. Anyone have any comments for Ryan? You're trying to work on something innovative, not done before. So, resistance, is that a sign that you're on the right path or you're barking up the wrong tree? What is that? Who would want to comment on that one? No one? Anyone? All right, I guess. Ryan, are you there? Yes. Okay. Let me take a swing at it. I guess no one has any particular comment on that one, although I think it's a very good question. Ryan, from my point of view, the first thing you could do to explore this topic, right? What I would do if I were willing to invest the time, which almost always people in modern life are not, I would go back and take a half a dozen innovators, right? Put them down on a piece of paper. Who would those be? Well, I don't know. How about Steve Jobs? He'd be an innovator. How about Bill Gates? He'd be an innovator. How about, and then list a half a dozen innovators. Good, maybe a woman, maybe a minority, maybe one that I represented earlier in my life, Berry Gordy, founded Motown, and we call him innovator, right? So now you've got a list of 6 innovators on a pad of paper, and you do some research on them. You devote a half hour maybe to each, and you say, oh, let's see if our gang of 6, when they were innovating, met resistance or applause. Let's see. And then some, you may find, some met resistance and some met applause, and there we are, and then you'll learn the nature of the topic and the complications in the topic, and how much resistance, and all of the rest. Then you get to, in exploring these other 6 pioneers, you get to align yourself with who you feel most comfortable with, and how much resistance you're willing to take or not, or what is healthy. Some resistance is healthy, right? Because change agents, people who think differently, are not greeted. Look, we've all likely, many of us on this call have had the experience, either personally or aware of it. You walk in to someone you love deeply, and you tell them in the most gentle, encouraging way imaginable that they're drinking too much. you're concerned about it. And you watch whether you're meted with thank you or resistance. You know, change agents meet resistance. That's why we call them change agents. On the other hand, some resistance is the market just rejecting the idea, right? And so we have to, it's not a question that has a formula answer, but I've given you what I believe to be some investigative tools that might assist you on this very, very good question that you ask that resists a simple yes or no. You know, so far the two questions that have been asked are complicated, brilliant, deep, penetrating questions. They're questions that could both be answered by entire books, not by a 2-minute yes or no question at a Starbucks bar. These are really important questions with important ramifications. And you, individually, all very smart people, have been grappling with these questions for some time, or you wouldn't oppose them. I hope my clues are...
Yes,
now, the problem with my clues, of course, Ryan, are it takes about, a dozen hours, investing a dozen hours into the other pioneers' lives to figure out where you fit in. Anyway, we're kind of getting to the end here. Anyone else? Let's see. Dawn, how about you? Do you want to share a comment, a question, a thought, an idea, a suggestion?
I'm just enjoying listening at the moment. This is my first time.
Okay. Well, that's
I like
cool.
hearing everybody's comments, of course.
Okay. Well, I just want to mention to you, Dawn, because we haven't had a chance to talk, that every time you agree with me, I think you're brilliant.
That works.
Did you laugh at that? I know others did. I want to know if you did.
Of course.
Good. All right. Karen, any other questions, comments, suggestions, or alternative speeches?
No, I have really enjoyed this first call, and I hope to be on all calls in the future, but I do agree with you.
Then you're brilliant. And if you don't agree with me, clearly you've lost your way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Shane, any questions, comments, suggestions, alternative speeches?
That is something that I've also thought about a lot in life, and going away from the psychological aspect. For instance, when you're outside and you're walking and you're supposed to look, as someone who has enough self-respect to be out there, you know, in my view, you shouldn't look like you are, as if you have no self-respect. But in that case, I've come to a place where it's difficult to understand how to walk, which sounds funny maybe, but having studied some ballet and stuff, you know, taught walk up very straight. That's the healthy way to walk.
Yes.
Actually, I've noticed when you do that in public, it starts to look slightly arrogant, and it can be perceived as extremely arrogant. And since in Holland we walk more than we use cars, it's a serious issue. Like, in that case, what do you do?
Well, it's a good point, and physical presence plays a role. You know, if you walk into a room in a meek way, people will perceive meekness, and if you walk into a room in a confident way, people will perceive confidence. Now, on the other hand, there are things that I guess you can say or do in that room, right? Little gestures or little ways of behaving that can soften a feeling or strengthen a feeling, right? If you walk into a room in a very, very confident way, and yet you greet everyone and say, good morning, how are you today? How was your weekend? You ask about them, right? You seem, there's a way of maybe softening or chateauing. Softening, I guess, is a good way of perhaps wording an initial impression. So look, we're complicated actors in a life's drama, and there's a lot that goes into these things. I think, John, are you on the phone?
Yeah, sorry, I had a little technical difficulty there, but this call is being recorded, and we'll have it posted.
It's being recorded.
Yeah. Well,
okay. And by the way, that's I'm going to leave everybody by saying goodbye, but I do want to encourage somebody, everyone, to think about something about this call and about life in general. Now, we have just had a telephone call with very bright and interesting people for about 35 minutes. That's a kind of cool thing. What nice way to start the morning, I think. And then during the call, we had a couple different technical problems for whatever reason. These things happen, I guess, right? Well, here's a way that winners differ from the rest. Winners never let those little mistakes go to waste. They study them. They take a little minute and say, okay, that's and they do it non-defensively. They say, oh, my goodness gracious, here we are. We had a little technical problem or two, right? Wonder what that was about. Well, maybe it was about this or that. If we work on that, we'll try to get this. Maybe if we don't that won't happen again. And they try to get better all the time. They do it non-defensively. They don't sit around and sob because there was a little error, or they don't belittle or blame the world or Trump or men or their parents or God for the problems. They just say, oh, okay, that kind of wacky thing happened. Let's see how we can get better here. I have a guy, very bright guy, married, middle-aged man who calls me in the morning from time to time, client guy. And he calls me from his car. It's kind of frequent, common kind of American thing. He calls me from his car. I guess that's convenient for him for whatever reason. And so he's calling me from his car, and that would mean he's calling from a cell phone. Right. And so during the call, usually, 3-4 minutes, not very long, I will listen to him say 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? And it's bloody frustrating, isn't it? Bloody frustrating. And so one of the times he called me today, I said, hey, Jeff, why don't you, can you call me, why don't you call me from a landline? And he seemed baffled. Well, why would I do that? And I said, well, it might be nice to have a conversation in which every third sentence doesn't begin with, can you hear me now? So, I don't know. You gotta think this stuff through, friends. We're all working on it. So anyway, with that said, thank you so much, and I hope you all have a marvelous and inspiring day, and thank you for your time.